Welcome to webinar number 8 of the PACE implementation series. A big thank you to each and every one of you for showing up again with your team and making sure you're taking consistent action on the PACE system. The objective for this webinar series is to set you on a fast track to build a win-win-win business. Remember, the foundation of everything that we do is to help you build a business where customers get value, team members get financial and career growth, and business owners get time freedom as well as the business growth that they desire. So it becomes a joint win for everybody, and this can only happen with the joint contribution of everybody. So please remember, win-win-win is a joint responsibility, not a free opportunity. Anybody treating it as a free opportunity and expecting growth without contribution does not deserve to be a part of the team. Now, how are we building this win-win-win business? We're doing this by implementing the PACE system. And remember, there are 5 stages in the PACE system. The first stage is the aspiration stage, where we look at where we want to go. The second stage is the analysis stage, where we look at what is stopping us from going where we want to go. The third stage is the awareness stage, where we get aware to and measure the 3 most critical elements that contribute to the performance in our business. The fourth stage is the action planning stage, where we create specific plans to moving towards our aspiration goal. And then the fifth and the final stage is the achievement stage, where you use a template and a mechanism that we are going to be teaching you to make sure you achieve that aspiration goal. So let us review quickly what are the steps that you've taken so far as a team in the PACE system. First, we started with the aspiration stage, where you understood your team personal aspirations. Now, a lot of you have this question that you keep asking your coach that, hey, we understood our team personal aspirations, but how do we use it? How do we integrate it? All I'm going to say is wait, hold on. The time for it will come. Right now, we're just preparing ourselves to get started with the game. The game has not yet begun. But you will use the personal aspiration questionnaire while creating role clarity and career growth clarity for people once we get into the achievement process. You will also use the aspiration of individuals for setting up performance benchmarks and measuring them as we go through this journey together. So hold on to this personal aspiration questionnaire. The second step that you took after creating personal aspirations is you created your business aspiration. You created smart breakthrough goals in those 5 parameters, and you defined your common purpose as a team, which is your fuel that moves you towards that goal, and you named your goal. From there, you went into the second stage of implementation, which was the analysis stage, where you listed problems and you compiled the problems, and then you did root cause analysis using the 5 why technique for 10% of your problems, and for the balance 90%, you funneled the root causes using the scanning technique, and you funneled them under the 4 funnels of lessons learned, conflicts, creation list, and competence development areas. So you did the analysis of what is coming in the way. Then we went into the third and fourth stage of the PACE system, which is awareness and action planning. Now, in the awareness and action planning stage, we do these simultaneously for each one of the elements to be aware to based on the definition of the word PACE. Remember, PACE, performance acceleration, is a result of clarity, competence, and culture enhancement. In any area of your business, if you're not able to produce the desired result, you need to check, is clarity missing and enhance clarity? Is competence missing and enhance competence? Or is culture missing and enhance culture? So we started the awareness and action planning stage together based on the 3 screws of clarity, competence, and culture, where you understood what are the 7 functions of the business, and how to build a business. We need to make sure every single function is functional, and each function becomes functional only when you have clarity of role, where you know what are the deliverables of that role, what are the tasks and activities, and what are the metrics of measurement. So you created that role clarity as a team, and then we went into measurement of competence, where we said in the previous webinar that there are 5 elements to competence: skill, knowledge, self-image, traits, and motives. And you had the task last week of facilitating that competence attributes creation, where each and every one of you take your role document and create the list of competency attributes required to do the tasks and activities of the role, and then you created a competence development plan using the PRE template. People you can learn from, resources you can learn from, and experiences you can learn from. So using the PRE template, you created the competence development plan and that was the task, that was your assignment for last week. Now today's webinar is an extremely important webinar. Now I know when I say this every week, that it's extremely important, and that's the truth. Every single webinar is extremely important because these are like pieces of a jigsaw puzzle which help you create that beautiful picture in the end. So today's webinar is focused on the third screw we need to enhance to accelerate performance. We've spoken about clarity, we've spoken about competence. Today's webinar, we're going to be talking about culture, and this is by far my most favorite webinar because I know maximum transformation happens through this webinar. So are you excited? Yes, if you're excited, turn to the person next to you and say, I'm excited. Come on, say it. Say it meaningfully. Thank you. So we are going to be focusing on enhancing culture today, and this is an extremely critical, an extremely powerful, and an extremely ignored piece by most businesses. Because most businesses believe that culture is for large corporate organizations. Culture is for large corporations, and it's not relevant to small and medium businesses. Well, let me tell you something. Most small and medium businesses live under the notion that they require to address this issue of culture when they become big. But the truth is, what is stopping you from becoming big is not addressing this issue. What is stopping you from becoming big is actually lack of culture. So everybody say this: to become big, you need culture. Not when you become big that you'll need culture. Please remember this: to become big, you need culture. So keeping that in mind, let's dive into the third screw to enhance, to accelerate your performance. Let's get started with the topic of culture. To begin with, let us understand what influences culture. Okay? The foundation of the culture of any workplace is based on the quality of relationships in that workplace. Let me repeat that. The foundation of the quality of culture in any workplace is based on the quality of relationships between people in that workplace. Now, in relationships, there are two types of relationships in any workplace. The first type of relationships at any workplace are called responsive relationships. I'd like you to make a lot of notes in today's webinar because it's a very, very critical webinar, and you'll see all these words connecting up to how culture influences the results of a workplace. So let's go with the foundation. Draw a pyramid out, and at the bottom of the pyramid, I want you to write the word relationships. On one hand side of the pyramid, I want you to write the word responsive, and on the other hand side, I want you to write the word resistant, because these are the two types of relationships in any workplace. Now, the word responsive is a derivation from the word responsibility, which means these are relationships. Responsive relationships are relationships where people take responsibility for the quality of relationship. Responsive relationships are relationships where there is mutual trust, where there is mutual respect, where there is genuine care and genuine connection. Please write those four words down: mutual trust, mutual respect, genuine care and genuine connection. These are places or relationships where people genuinely are connected, they're great friends and share a great rapport with each other. On the other hand comes the resistant relationships. Now let me tell you this: resistant, as the word suggests, is not the most desirable state of relationships you would want at the workplace. Let me give you some characteristics of a resistant relationship. The first characteristic of resistant relationship is that there's a lot of negativity and blame game. Yeah, negativity and blame game, write those two words. Now, as a result of that negativity and blame game, what happens in that workplace is that it becomes an ego battle. Write those words: ego battle. Okay, and I know some of you are smiling and looking at each other here and there and saying that's you, okay, but that's all of us. Okay, so negativity, blame game, ego battle, groupism, that's another characteristic of resistant relationships. We have our own comfort circles and groups, and we play politics through those groups. Okay, so groupism. And another characteristic of resistant relationships is that there is zero responsibility and maximum conflict people to people. Write that. Conflict people to people. It's not conflict on ideas, which is healthy. Conflict of ideas is great, But this is conflict of personalities. This is conflict of character, where I don't like that person. Even if they do something good, I will find a fault in it. That's the quality of conflict in a resistant environment. Now I know some of you are smiling and probably already have names popping up in your head at the workplace thinking, I hope he's listening, that's him. Okay, it's not him. You thinking that itself is resistance. That's what I want to show you through today's webinar. Okay, so we have responsive relationship, which has mutual care, mutual respect, trust, okay, connection and bonding. And we have resistant relationships, which has negativity, blame game, groupism, ego battle, and conflict on personality. Now, as these two suggest that the impact on results will be very different on both sides of the pyramid. So what I want you to understand is this: relationships is the foundation of culture, and relationship influences the state of energy of a workplace. So above the word relationship on the pyramid, I want you to write the word state of energy. Relationships directly influence the state of energy of individuals at the workplace. For example, in a responsive environment where relationships are responsive, the state of energy of people is positive. The state of energy of people is extremely upbeat. People are high energy because people are in a resourceful state of energy. Please write that word, resourceful state of energy. So responsive relationships creates a resourceful state of energy, whereas resistant relationships creates an unresourceful state of energy. This is the state of energy where everybody is negative, everybody is unresourceful, and I'll explain that word to you in a minute. So first let's come to resourceful state of energy. What does resourceful state of energy mean? Resourceful state of energy means that that person is high energy and is willing to contribute. It means that even if we do not have the resources, listen to this carefully, even if we do not have the resources, which means we may not have the time, we may not have money, we may not have enough infrastructure, we may not have enough team members on our team, but still the energy of people on that workplace is resourceful, which means they have a mindset of, even if we don't have resources, let's get it done, let's make it happen. Okay, that's the power of responsive relationships. It creates a resourceful state of energy in individuals where they do it for the team, they do it no matter what. But on the other hand, when you have resistant relationships, when there's that undercurrent flowing of conflict and negativity in the workplace, people are in an unresourceful state of energy, which means even if people have all the resources, they may have the time, they may have the money, they may have the knowledge, they may have the clarity, they may have the resources, the infrastructure, the team members, but still they don't deliver results. They still don't deliver results because the mindset is unresourceful. The mindset is disengaged. They don't want to take responsibility and do whatever even that they can do easily. That's the indication of an unresourceful state of energy. You have all the resources, the time, the money, the team, the clarity, the knowledge, the skills, everything, but you still don't turn it into performance because you're in an unresourceful state of energy. And that happens because you are having resistance around you in the relationships. So I want you to understand this. Responsive relationships creates resourceful state of energy. Resistant relationships creates unresourceful state of energy. So I hope you start seeing the connection that the quality of relationships influences the quality of the state of energy of people, and the state of energy of people influences the commitment level. So in the pyramid, you've written relationships, then you write state of energy. Above state of energy, I want you to write commitment level. So state of energy directly impacts the commitment level of people. So when people are in a resourceful state of energy, their commitment level is high. Their commitment level, in fact, is unconditional. Please write this word, unconditional. When people have resourceful state of energy, their commitment level is unconditional. Whereas when people are in an unresourceful state of energy, their commitment is very conditional. It has that conditions apply mark on it. It is more of a, if you do this for me, then I will do that for you. They spoke to me like this last time, that's why I will not do this time. So people are very transactional in an unresourceful state of energy, which creates a conditional commitment. Until you don't fulfill those conditions of people, they are not willing to play, and even if they are playing, they are not playing fully. They are not playing with 100% commitment and responsibility. That is what is conditional commitment. Whereas unconditional commitment is extremely powerful. It is a no matter what commitment. It's a commitment to the larger purpose of the team, the bigger goal of the team, and that is possible only when people are in a resourceful state of energy, which is created by responsive relationships. So I want you to start seeing the connection. Responsive relationships creates resourceful state of energy. Resourceful state of energy creates unconditional commitment, a no matter what commitment. Whereas resistant relationships creates an unresourceful state of energy, and in an unresourceful state of energy, people make only conditional commitments. They will always look at what's in it for me, and they will always have preconditions of if you do this, then I will do that, which is what restricts the game and sabotages performance at the workplace. So, by now you should have started to seeing the connection, how the pyramid is building up. The bottom is relationship. Relationship influences state of energy influences commitment, and commitment level influences performance. Please write the word performance on the pyramid. Commitment influences performance. Now, let's go on the responsive side. Responsive relationships give you resourceful state of energy. Resourceful state of energy gives you an unconditional commitment from people. And when people are making an unconditional commitment, their performance is beyond reasons. Write this, performance beyond reasons, which means even if they face challenges, even if they face environmental challenges from outside, they don't limit themselves. They don't give you that as a reasons. They look at going beyond those reasons and making things happen. So performance is beyond reasons. Whereas in a resistant environment where relationships are strained, the state of energy is unresourceful, and in an unresourceful state of energy, people have a conditional commitment, and through a conditional commitment, you will always see the performance is filled with reasons. Right, just performance filled with reasons. They always have reasons, always have excuses to give for lack of commitment and lack of performance. That is how performance is indicated in a resistant environment. Now, let's connect the pyramid from bottom to top again. Relationship influences state of energy influences commitment level influences performance level, and performance level influences the results. Performance level influences the results. And when you have people going beyond reasons and performing, your results are extraordinary. But when you have people giving reasons and performing, then the results are ordinary. So write that down. Performance beyond reasons, results are extraordinary. Performance giving reasons, results are ordinary. So I hope you understand through this pyramid that I have created for you on how in your workplace the quality of relationships directly influences the results. And this is how culture is created. The culture of any organization can be measured using these 5 elements: relationship, state of energy, level of commitment, level of performance, and quality of results. So please understand how this pyramid is actually a performance pyramid and indicates the culture of a workplace. Okay, so I hope this was a useful piece for you to learn on how relationship influences results. Now, while you're looking at this pyramid, here's what I want you to do. I want you to discuss with your team members on how they can relate to this pyramid. What do they see? Do they see resistant relationships or do they see responsive relationships? And how does that play out through the pyramid? And while you're discussing, I want you to be aware to this one pattern. If you come across it, please make a note. Okay, here's one pattern I see some teams falling into. In some teams, in small and medium businesses, what I see is that the relationships are responsive, which means there's a lot of mutual trust, mutual care, connection, bonding. Relationships are great, but results are ordinary. If you feel that that is your pattern, I want you to raise your hand. Thank you. Now this is quite interesting, don't you see? The relationships are great, bonding is there, connection is there, care is there, friendship is there, but results are ordinary. Now you may wonder why or how. Let me explain this to you through the next part of this module today. Okay, so I want you to make a separate note right now. Write 3 elements of relationships. Everybody write this. 3 elements of relationships. The first element is relationship with people. Write down. Relationship with people. Now you could have a responsive relationship with people or a resistant relationship with people. The second element is relationship with the goal. Right? Relationship with the goal. And the third element is relationship with self. Every person has a relationship with themselves, right? So you got those 3 elements of relationship. Relationship with people, relationship with the goal, and relationship with self. Now, if you look at this pyramid, the performance pyramid that I just taught you, and if you feel, hey, our relationships are responsive, but our results are ordinary, that is because at your workplace, in your team, relationship with people is responsive, but the relationship to the goal is not responsive. Let me repeat that. If your relationships are responsive and your results are ordinary, that only indicates that in your workplace, relationship with people is responsive, but relationship to the goal is not responsive. Which means your workplace is a comfort zone team. Your workplace is a team where everybody is bonding, everybody is having fun, everybody is connected, everybody has lunch together, they have fun together, they go out on weekends probably together, they share each other's personal problems, relationship problems, family problems with each other. The connection level is great and everybody is happy, but nobody is really taking responsibility for the end result. Now, because of that, what tends to happen is that in this team, they don't challenge each other, they don't push each other, they don't question each other if a result is not achieved. They, in fact, run under the fear that if we question each other, our relationships will get damaged. Now, this is a big flaw. This is a big flaw because you have created an environment of comfort zone where everybody is happy, but the company is not growing. The company is not achieving its goals and targets, and nobody is questioning about it. And over a period of time, what starts to happen is when this starts affecting the business seriously, you have no other option but to flip and start pushing people, and people are not prepared for that because that's not the culture of the organization. So people take offense to it and leave the company, but even when they leave to become more unsuccessful, because when they go into new work environments, because they are used to this comfort zone culture, they don't adapt to high performance cultures and they become low performers in other environments. So by creating a comfort zone team, you're not just doing damage to the company, but you're also doing damage to the individual's career growth, because that individual becomes a dysfunctional person and believes that comfort zone is the best way of doing things, and they definitely don't fit in high performance workplaces. So for the sake of all of you, here's my request. If you're a comfort zone team, please change, because a comfort zone team is a suicide mission. While you feel happy while you're in the comfort zone team because of your connection, your standards are very, very low. Your benchmark is very, very low, because of which you're damaging your own personal career growth, okay, and also the business at large. And you cannot build a win-win-win business by being a comfort zone team. And I see a lot of comfort zone teams justify being comfort zone teams by saying, we are like a family. Let me tell you one thing. Have one family at home and take care of them. At the workplace, please do not create a family culture. At the workplace, be an army, which means you have responsive relationships towards people and you have a responsive relationship towards the goal. Think about the army. The army of any nation is willing to go into adverse conditions and fight for their nation because they care for their goal. And at the same time, the soldiers are willing to take a bullet for each other because they have responsive relationships with each other on their battalion. So I want you to understand this. At the workplace, what would it be like if we build a family? Instead of building a family, we build an army, which is responsive towards people, which means we care for each other so much that we are willing to do whatever it takes for each other. At the same time, we are responsive towards the goal, which means we always push each other for higher standards, so everybody is giving their best and everybody is growing and making sure that the business grows so that all of us can later enjoy the benefits of it. So please understand this. Build an army, not a family. And that's where relationship to the goal is very important. If you do not have a responsive relationship to the goal, you'll land up being a comfort zone team where the relationships may be responsive, state of energy may be resourceful, but commitment is very, very conditional in a comfort zone team. People care for the company, love the company, they are patriotic towards the company, but the truth is, in action, their commitment level is conditional and their performance is filled with reasons. And in a comfort zone team, everybody accepts the reasons because they love and respect each other so much. So the quality and the standards of that workplace is very low and results are ordinary. So you need to understand 3 elements. Relationship to people, it has to be responsive, and relationship to the goal also has to be responsive. That's when you'll build a high performance team. But if you have poor relationships to the goal and only good relationships to the people, then you're a comfort zone team. On the flip side, I've also seen teams where the relationship to the goal is very responsive, but relationship with people is resistant. Now, let me tell you this is also not a great option. If you have resistant relationship towards people and responsiveness only towards the goal, then you are a slave factory. You're not developing leaders. You are driving people to deliver results through the whip. You're creating an environment of fear and threat. And in an environment of fear and threat, you will not have competent people retained. Competent people cannot survive in that kind of an environment. They will go find another job. So your job is to create an environment which is responsive towards people as well as the result. Only responsive towards the people is not good enough. Only responsiveness towards the goal is also not good enough. You got to be responsive towards people and the goal. That's when you've built an army that focuses on win-win-win relationships. So I hope that clarifies the point for all of you. The third element of the culture pyramid. Firstly, let me ask you, how many of you are learning something out of this webinar? Raise your hands. Thank you. How many of you think that this performance pyramid is extremely powerful and you can relate this to your workplace? Raise your hands. Thank you. I want you to see this. There are multi-dimensions to relationship, and I want you to see how relationship actually contributes to results at a workplace. So we've looked at how relationship with people works. We've looked at how relationship to the goal works. Now let's quickly look at the third element of relationship, which is relationship to yourself. Now when it comes to relationship with yourself, there are again 2 types of relationships. One, you could be responsive with yourself. The other is you could be resistant with yourself. Now while this sounds funny that why would people be resistant to themselves, the truth is each one of us as human beings are resistant with ourselves. So here's what I want you to write. I want you to write these 4 words. Write self-blame, write it down, self-blame, guilt, feeling ashamed, feeling I am not good enough. 4 things: self-blame, feeling guilty, feeling ashamed, and feeling I am not good enough. Now these are 4 ways of being resistant with yourself. And the truth is, all of us at one point or the other in our lives have either blamed ourselves or felt guilty or have felt ashamed of ourselves or our actions or have said to ourselves, I'm not good enough. Now I want you to consider this. When you express resistance with yourself, you actually go into an unresourceful state of energy. And in an unresourceful state of energy, your commitment will only be conditional. Okay? And while your commitment will be conditional, your performance will be filled with reasons saying, I'm not good enough, or I know I'm wrong, I know I can't do things, I'm not capable. Your performance will always be filled with reasons and your results will be ordinary. However, what some people feel is that by resisting themselves, they are becoming resourceful in their state of energy. They are being motivated by telling themselves, shit, I am not good enough, I have not done this right, I am ashamed of myself, I am feeling guilty, and that's why I am feeling energized. Now let me tell you this, while your intensity may be high, after resisting yourself, that is not a resourceful state of energy, that is still an unresourceful state of energy. Because then what you see as motivation and high energy saying, I'm going to make it work, I know I'm wrong, I'm not good enough, I'm ashamed of myself, and I'm going to make it happen, this is not resourceful state of energy. This is desperation. This is a higher form of unresourceful state of energy. Because think about it, in this desperation, in this vengeance mode that you put yourself in by resisting yourself, when you take action, do things work as per plan? No, they don't. And when things don't work as per plan, you get emotionally even more frustrated, even more shattered. So your commitment again becomes conditional. So I want you to understand this. What you see as motivation is actually putting you in a deeper conditional commitment. Because even though you think it's motivating you and you do it with intensity, saying, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, what tends to happen is by repeated failure, okay, even after putting so much intensity, by having repeated failure, you start building a belief that I am talented, I'm hardworking, but I'm not lucky. And that is the final nail on the coffin. The day you start believing, I'm talented, I'm hardworking, but I'm not lucky, that's the highest level of reasons that you can live by, and you will only produce ordinary results with an internal conflict, cursing your fate and cursing your destiny. So please understand this. Resistance with yourself is not an option. Blaming yourself, telling yourself you're not good enough, feeling guilty, feeling ashamed is only going to put you in further resistance with yourself and only going to limit you with ordinary results and a lot of internal dissatisfaction because you're constantly conflicting with yourself or your fate or your destiny. The truth is to have a responsive relationship with yourself. And what does a responsive relationship with yourself mean? A responsive relationship with yourself means that you're willing to fail, willing to get it wrong, and you love yourself for who you are. And when you love and accept yourself for who you are, you allow yourself to fail and you allow yourself to learn with every failure. So when you have that self-love, self-acceptance, saying, I love myself for who I am, and you take action, you're in a resourceful state of energy. And you accept that you're imperfect. You don't have to be perfect. As a human, you've been designed to make mistakes. Because if you were perfect, you would be God. And it's funny how we as human beings beat ourselves up with blame, with self-inflicted pain, with guilt, with feeling ashamed, because we have this notion that we should be perfect. We've been designed to be imperfect. That's how the Creator has created us. So you being imperfect is perfectly perfect. So knowing that you're imperfect, you got to have self-love. You got to really, really love yourself for who you are and keep taking action. That's when you're in a resourceful state of energy. And when you take action, even when things don't work as per plan, you have this understanding that, yeah, I knew I'm not perfect, so I need to learn. So when things don't go as per plan, I need to learn from it and I need to keep moving forward. So you're not getting emotionally shattered. You're not giving up when things don't go as per plan. You're learning and constantly moving forward. So you're going beyond reasons in your performance. And only when you keep playing the game and keep going beyond reasons, keep learning, keep getting better, do you produce extraordinary results. So I hope you understand that this element of relationship with yourself is the most critical element when it comes to high performance. You cannot be a high performer by hating who you are. You got to love yourself for who you are, accept you are imperfect and keep learning, keep being hungry for more and keep moving forward, not getting emotionally shattered or going into this intensity of vengeance and frustration with yourself. That does not work. So I hope through this webinar you've understood how relationship with people creates extraordinary results, how relationship to the goal creates extraordinary results, and how relationship to yourself creates extraordinary results. The foundation is to be responsive. Love yourself for who you are. So here's what I want all of you to do. Everybody take your right hand this way. Bring your right hand up. Kiss yourself and say, I love myself. Come on, do it. Kiss it and say, I love myself. Come on, everybody do it. It sounds funny, but that's what you got to do. You got to accept yourself and keep getting better. You can't hate yourself and get better. Because if you hate yourself, you're putting too much emotion on the line, which will only lead to disappointment and frustration. Because no matter how hard you try, things don't work as per plan, which means you will face challenges. And the only way to keep achieving your goals is going beyond those challenges. And to go beyond those challenges, you need to be in a resourceful state of energy to make that unconditional commitment and to deliver that performance beyond reasons. So I hope you've understood how 3 elements of relationship works and how relationship influences results at a workplace. So now comes my time to give you your task for the week as a team. So here's what I need you to do as a team. Firstly, everybody put your hand on your heart. Put your hand on your heart. And together at level 10 energy, on the count of 3, I want you to say this. Okay? No culture is also a culture. I am aware and I design a high performance culture. Everybody say it. No culture is also a culture. I am aware and I design a high performance culture. Because in most small and medium businesses, people don't even bother about this element of culture. They think it's not important. But I want you to understand, culture is the most important element, because you may have clarity, you may have competence, but if the culture of the workplace is not aligned, even the most competent people don't perform. So culture is actually like a deep root that contributes to the fruit of performance. So you may have clarity, you may have competence, but if you do not have culture, you will see that the performance is not coming out to the level that it can. So if you just ignore culture, then that also is culture. No culture is also a culture. You got to be aware and you have to design a high performance culture. So how many of you are ready to learn how to design a high performance culture? If you're ready, raise your hands. Thank you. So I'm going to teach you a method to design a high performance culture, which is going to be your assignment for this week. So here's what I want you to do. At the end of this webinar, after you have a discussion and a review of the performance pyramid that I taught you in this webinar, and you review the 3 elements of relationships, which is relationship to people, relationship to goal, and relationship to self. After you've done a review and a discussion of what all you've learned from this webinar, I want you to create your culture charter. Please write this down. Create your culture charter. Now this is what you will do in creating the culture charter. What I want all of you to do is individually, as team members, I want you to list situations and scenarios that happen at the workplace. Write this down. List situations and scenarios that happen at the workplace where relationships become resistant. So I want you to individually write situations you've seen at the workplace where relationships become resistant. Like say for example, when somebody gossips about another person, then the relationship becomes resistant. Or when one department does not do what they were supposed to do and deliver to the other department, then relationships become resistant. Or when people create this jealousy or ego environment, then relationships become resistant. So I want to think of all the possible situations you can think of that occur at the workplace where relationships become resistant. Like say for example, a key team member leaves the company without informing, or somebody from the company does a theft of clients or theft of other team members or theft of critical information, relationships become resistant. So I want you to look at all the scenarios that you can think of, okay, where relationships become resistant. Write that down individually. Second, list all the situations and scenarios which occur at the workplace where the state of energy goes down. Like for example, you may have a team but there's not enough work for the team, so the energy goes down. Or people are being overworked, because of which the energy goes down. Or boss is being arrogant and autocratic or authoritative, then the state of energy goes down. So think of situations that occur at the workplace where state of energy of people goes down. The third is I want you to list situations that occur at the workplace where commitment is conditional. When do people have a conditional commitment? List that. Like for example, people have conditional commitment when there is uneven distribution of responsibility, or they have a conditional commitment where there is uneven pay based on contribution is not happening. Okay, so you list all the situations that you can think of where commitment becomes conditional. Then list all the situations that occur where performance is filled with reasons. When do people give reasons? When they are given work that they are not capable of doing, when they are giving work that they are not interested in doing. So list all these situations. So 4 headings I have given you. Situations when relationships become resistant, situations where state of energy goes down, situations where commitment becomes conditional, and situations where performance is filled with reasons. So individually list. This is like you did the problem listing exercise in webinar number 3. Similarly, now you're doing situation listing exercise where all the situations become on the negative side. Now once you've listed these situations, then in groups I want you to compile the situations. So sit in groups of 4 or 5 or in your department teams and compile your situations on a chart paper. So if there's any repetition, it gets eliminated and unique situations get compiled. All the situations where relationships become resistant, all the situations where state of energy goes down, all the situations where commitment becomes conditional, and all the situations where performance is filled with reasons. So compile it and compile it together, compile it between groups so you get a final list. Something similar to what you did for problem listing compilation. Now once you've done the compilation, then what I'd like you to do is again divide the team into smaller groups and give each group certain situations. So say one group takes up all the situations where relationships become resistant, the other group takes all the situations where state of energy goes down. So give out these situations to different groups, and in every group I want you to create the culture charter. What do I mean? So in every group, I want you to discuss and brainstorm with each other that when that situation occurs, what is our company's way of handling that situation and what is not our company's way of handling that situation. So you have to write this down. Our way, not our way. So write your company's way, a name, and write our way, not our way. Okay, so discuss this, brainstorm this as a team for every situation and create what is our way, what is not our way. Let me give you an example. Let's just say situation when state of energy of people goes down is when somebody leaves the company without informing. So you know the situation. Now define that. Our way, we will inform the company in advance. We will support the company in training a replacement so that it's a win-win relationship. We will not do theft of data or customers or team members. So it's a win-win-win relationship. So that is our way. Not our way is informing without leaving, informing without supporting the company in a transition plan, not informing and stealing data or clients of the company. That's not our way. Now this needs to be defined, because when it's defined, then as people you know what you hold each other to. What is the culture of this workplace? Now even after defining, will there be crooks? Yes, there will be crooks, there will be liars, okay, but at least by defining, we are creating a conscience for all of us as a company. Like say for example, you may have another situation that relationships become resistant when people gossip about each other. So that's the situation, people gossiping about each other. So what is our way? So you can define that as a team, we make a decision today that when we have a problem with a person, we will not go talk to somebody else. We will first address it with the person. That is our way. And when we are addressing it with the person, if we are not able to handle that conversation, we will involve a third person as a coach. That is our way. Not our way will be going and gossiping about the person, being manipulative, playing politics in the company, putting that person in an awkward situation purposely. That is not our way. Now it's important to define these things, because this is what becomes the defined culture of the organization. If you don't define this, you leave it to whims and fancies of individuals, which is dangerous, and you are never able to create a team environment. But once you define it, you are able to create a high performance team environment, because you together have created what is expected out of each other, and you can hold each other responsible for what you have created. So this is how you create the culture charter. Step 1, get all the situations. Step 2, brainstorm on the situations and create what is our way, what is not our way. Once you've brainstormed on it together, presented it to each other, taken feedback from each other, and you have the final version of the culture charter, then you have step number 3, which is to get this designed in a manner where you can put it up in a poster in different parts of your office, or like a big cutout as a big poster so that everybody in office can see it. Don't just email it to people. Make sure that the culture charter is visible. It should be on the walls of the office, because it acts as a reminder tool. Tomorrow when that situation occurs and somebody is going the not our way, anybody can stop them and say, hey, listen, remember, our way, not our way. Which way are you taking? Okay, so you need to make sure it's visible on the walls, because out of sight is out of mind. And when it's visible, you can hold people accountable to it. You can hold people responsible to it. This is how you create a culture. Now, can those situations change? Yes, they can. In the further webinars, when we come to the strategic meeting webinar, you will see that we have a mechanism for you to review this list and add new situations and create changes to it. So please do remember that you can make changes. Does that make sense? Okay, culture has to be constantly evolving, and culture has to be created by the team, because that's when the team is connected. So I hope you've learned a simple way of how to create culture as a team. List the situations, put what is our way, what is not our way. This is how you create a culture charter, and keep evolving and be connected to your culture. This is Rajiv Talreja signing off from this webinar. I look forward to seeing you in the next webinar. Take action on the culture webinar and discuss what you've learned in this webinar. Thank you so much. See you in the next webinar.